Hello, my name is Hudson Waddles. I am a sophomore at Oak Cliff University in Wisconsin, and I am studying abroad in Japan in Kansai Gaidai. And this is my personal project to keep track of everything that I've done and maybe convince and inspire someone else to study abroad. Hi. Today was the official first day of school. It is currently 11 28 in Osaka, in Hirakata City. So it's not quite the next day yet, so I didn't miss it. But yes, today was the first day of school. Pretty good day. I'm actually really, really happy with how today went. My first class was Japanese 1, and I got up an hour early, fully expecting that I was going to be at least late or I would lose the building or whatever. And I reread my schedule just to be safe. And turns out that my first class is actually here on the Gotanyama campus instead of the Nakamiya campus. So it's in the same spot as where I live, which is a little concerning, but it's seriously the first, like the second door on the left when I walk out the front door. It's and not to mention that it took me a half hour to find it because at the very beginning my schedule said it was building like six, like 5303 or five something. It said it was a different building. The Gotanyama campus doesn't have building numbers in the thousands. So I had to go and I had to ask people where it was. I found someone else who was helping me who was in Japanese 5, also looking for Japanese class because apparently the Japanese 1 and 5 classes are here, but okay. I actually logged into Blackboard again to um, to try and like I lost train of thought. I logged into Blackboard again to see if everything that I needed was correct. And it wasn't. The screenshot that I had was outdated. So it was actually Villa 116, which made it a little easier. I knew exactly where that was. But that was my Japanese finding. That was the beginning of that class. After that, it was just managing being in there, which was super fun. It was about an hour and a half. And there were people there from all over the world, which is also super awesome. There was a girl from Finland to my left. There was a lot of U.S. students. There was from Mexico, New Zealand, China, all in my Japanese class. It was actually really, really cool. And our sensei, as she invited us to call her, invited us, she wanted to be called sensei. Um, she had us all introduce ourselves in proper Japanese fashion. We would bow and greet with "Hajimemashite," which is nice to meet you, but only used if it's the first time that you're meeting someone. So this means, well, obviously that's what nice to meet you is, but it was "Hajimemashite," which is nice to meet you, and this is me. We'd say our name, where we're from, our major, and then something we're interested or whatever, and then why we chose Japan. And I mentioned my name. I mentioned from Eau Claire, whatever. I'm studying neuroscience, some hobbies, bouldering, and anime. And then she asked, "Why did you pick Japan?" And I said, "Why not?" And that got a laugh of everyone. So that was fun. That was my little ego bolster for the day. But then she has concluded with "Yoroshiku Onogaishimasu," which is "Please take care of me" or "Please be nice to me," and let's kind of expand on our relationship from here on out. So Yoroshiku is it's phonetically it is spelled Yoroshiku Onegaishimasu, which is shorthand for more of a native and kind of quicker way to say it, which I've heard it in anime, first of all, but also I've heard it here actually. And it's Yoroshiku Onegaishimasu. And it's kind of shorthand for pronunciation. But other than that, we learned what to say when someone leaves, like eat take a shot, Itekisai. I've forgotten it. I'm clearly not a very good student. Um, uh, but what do you say when you leave, which is iterashai, iterashai, with an R sound, and then when you say when you arrive and you say tadaima, and the person who is there in the house will welcome you back with okaeri. So you can say good night, oyasumi, good evening, konbawa, hello, which is konnichiwa, which is also, you can also say in the evening, but you don't say in the morning. In the morning, you say oyasumi. I know. Thank you, arigato. There's three ways to say it. Thank you. All of them increasingly more and more formal. So you say arigato, which is improper. Not improper, but it's informal. Arigato gozaimasu. Just thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. And then domo arigato gozaimasu, which is more like reverent, and it's thank you oh so much. And it's just the highest thanks that you could possibly offer someone in the most formal and polite way possible. Then there's kind of like a pardon me, which is sumimasen, and that's kind of like you either bump into someone, you're trying to get squeezed past someone, you're trying to get someone's attention. It's sumimasen. I'm sorry is gomen or gomenasai, which is more proper. So stuff like that. The something that I didn't know was again the first part that I mentioned of like when you leave originally, and then actually when you leave a professor's office, there's a something you say when you leave your home, which is the one that I forgot, and there's something that you say when you leave and enter a classroom or a professor's office, and it's gonna bug me. And I have my book right here. Before the class, we were instructed to buy, actually purchase, full on purchase, textbook, which I thought was kind of cool. And there's also a workbook that comes with it. You have to buy that as well. But I don't mind it because that means I can take this home with me and I can learn more with it, which I think is super cool. But in the first couple pages of, especially this one, the workbook, it's actually, pardon me, I have my switch. It's actually a very nice notebook. I've made it on my way to page 33 so far. It's just a nice book. And you can't really see it nor read it, but yeah. Shitsure shimasu. Shitsure shimasu. Shitsure shimasu. Shitsure shimasu. It's spelled phonetically shitsure shimasu. So shorthand is more like shitsu. I'm not swearing, promise. I'm really not swearing. Shitsure shimasu. Yeah. And then if you leave informally, you say, ja, mata. Or I like ja. Jane. That's my favorite one. Jane. We got a syllabus for it. We got workbook stuff to do. We have things to turn in. We're going to be learning kanji. Their first kanji bit. We have katakana, beginning of katakana in 6 weeks. And then week 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Week 15 out of 30. We have our first bit of kanji that we'll be learning. It's pretty cool. And I actually started studying on my own some hiragana, which is the first step that I'll be learning is hiragana, then katakana, and then kanji. Romanji is actually kind of the more American Roman characters it's more phonetics. So if you can pronounce most consonant and vowel sounds mixed, you can pronounce Romaji. And it's just another way of writing it. I still have to understand what the words mean when they're written out, but it's not yet. After my language class, which was a lot of fun, the first little bit was someone spilled water all over the place right in front of me, so that was entertaining. And then 6 seconds later, the teacher put up the syllabus and said no food or drinks in the classroom, so that was ironic. But after Japanese 1 was my history class, my medieval history class. That didn't happen until 3 o'clock, so I had time to kill from basically 10:30 to 3 o'clock. So I explored the Nakayama campus, and I walked around the primary campus. I went to 7-Eleven and I bought myself lunch, which consisted of a chicken with teriyaki sauce and egg sandwich. It's pre-made. It's actually really good. It's actually pretty good, very, very tasty. So I have another one similar, but not similar, same brand, but different stuff inside in my fridge, and I'm going to be eating that tomorrow. So, and then they sold Coca-Cola. They sold good old Coke. So I had that, and then they don't sell Pepsi. But it is normal Pepsi. They have like a caffeine boosted one, which I thought was odd. But that was my breakfast at around 11 o'clock is when I got there. I had lemonade and the sandwich. And I sat there for a little bit and I studied some Japanese, which is very interesting. I actually made a couple of really good connections, and I'm kind of proud of myself for that one. There are little symbols so there are mostly vowel sounds, and then so there's kind of like a chart that you need to memorize, which is, I guess, how you function with any language, really. But then they're all vowel sounds, and then each consonant that's in the Japanese language is matched up and written out with that vowel. So you have A-E-I-O-U, and then you have K, K-A, T-A, G-A, stuff like that. And then you have K-E, T-E, G-E. And it goes all the way on the list. M-E. There was no M. That's not true. There was an M. But you have kind of all the consonants matching up. Each consonant that matches up with a letter corresponds to a different symbol, which was interesting. Another feature that was interesting was more softer sounds like T and H. So T and H were transformed into other sounds. The same symbol would be used, but you have to add 2 dashes at the end. So T would become D. So D would be like the kind of characterization. So it would be the same symbol for T, but you put 2 dashes at the end. I don't believe that's correct, actually. It might be not T and D. But same effect. If you put 2 dashes at the end, the soft consonant becomes a hard consonant. So S became Z. That one I know for sure. S became Z. And then P would become both B and H. No, I'm a liar. H would become I have too many books. I swear I'm gonna get this right, because I'm not gonna lie to you and I'm not gonna lie to myself. There's gotta be a kanji chart in here somewhere. I need to get a chart in here somewhere. Oh, these are all the answer sheets. I don't want those. Basic chart, yes. Where's the not so basic chart? Okay, so K would become G. K would become G. S would become Z. T would become D. I was right. N would become B. No, that's not. That is correct. And it would become B, and then H would become P. Yes. No. Am I lying to you again? I am. I apologize. K, G, S, Z, T, D, N was skipped, and then H would become P and B. And P was actually interesting because instead of two dashes, it was a little circle. So it's the same symbol for H, and those would become P and B, the harder consonants. So same symbol, different sounds, and with different markings. Uh, I'm going to keep it really brief about my medieval class because that was my least favorite part of the day. There's a big syllabus that came with it, and I'm kind of disappointed because first of all, my professor sounds like another one that I had previously, who talks in a very dull way, not in a way that's not exciting, but not in a way that, say you have this book, all right? You got this book to read for a syllabus. If they chose to skip something, they would skip it. But if they chose to read something, they would read it word for word. They wouldn't summarize their own words. They wouldn't say, this is the overview, this is whatever. They would read word for word. And I cannot stand that because everyone in the room can read. I can assure you, everyone in that room can read exactly what you wrote. So we have the paper. You gave it to us. It's on It's on the projector that you've already, booted up. We don't need a third way to learn the same words. Not even learn, to hear the same words. We can read it. So that put a little bit of a negative kind of feel into the class, for me at least. And not to mention the thing that I really wanted to learn about, which is like the geisha and ninjas and samurai. And yeah, I get it's a stereotype. I understand that, and I'm not going to speak. I'll be the first one to say that I completely and willingly know that I fall into that stereotype of just thinking of that kind of era of Japan is only those three things. However, that's really what I wanted to learn about, and that's what injured me the most. And unfortunately, I don't have the patience to actually go through the other 600 years that we have to talk about. So between my lack of patience, that and our class structure would be based around discussion, which sounds great in hindsight, but in like hypothetical. Class discussion is fantastic. I prefer class discussion to listening to a PowerPoint. However, that means that PowerPoint has to come in somewhere else. And so our professor decided to stack that, and of course it was optional, but there's also information that you would need to participate in the discussion. That is on top, so it's a half hour, 45-minute lecture, digital lecture, that we have to do on our own time, on top of the readings and responses. The reading and responses are going to be, so the responses were not that much. Easy guaranteed A, was 2 paragraphs on summarizing what you read and reacting to what you read. The reading part is going to be the challenge, considering 5 to 6 pages would be the short end of the spectrum. Isn't a lot, but then going through some of the other things, 33 pages. 33, I'm sure you heard me. 33 pages of one story that wasn't even a story. It was analyzing a story of a story. That's too much outside of class time. An hour and a half to discuss stuff in place of an hour and a half of in-person instruction, telling us niche things that don't really apply and like fit into a PowerPoint, stuff that our professor could have learned. Instead, it would have been condensed into a PowerPoint presentation on top of reading in response, and then PowerPoint. Needless to say, I have actually chosen to drop that class. Not out of laziness, but whereas that time now, my Mondays and Wednesdays are open up completely. My Mondays and Wednesdays are now only dedicated to Japanese and Japanese homework. I can study language now. I can do more readings. I can do more practice in this little book. I have 3 books that I can use and study Japanese. I'm okay with that. Granted, I am aware that this semester I am using to get rid of my LE credits. I don't think I need 2 history credits. I don't. So, I've chosen to drop the Japanese cultural history and ancient and medieval class. Which sounds like a big decision for me, which it is, because I've never dropped a class before. So this is my first time. That's not true. I dropped out of Mandarin, but that was in digital, and I'm not learning digital language this time. That sucked. I would not recommend it. If you have ever a chance to learn in person, especially for a language. So part of the reason I dropped this one. So that was the final decision that I made on that one. Aside from that, then it concludes my day. I ate dinner. I went to a convenience store and I bought some ramen and I bought another jug of water because I finished my other one. And yeah, I came back here and studied some more hiragana. And now it's 11 o'clock, almost midnight, 10 to midnight. So yeah, kind of a brief, abrupt wrap up, but I had to explain myself with the culture class. I am disappointed that it wasn't what I thought it was, but I'd rather dedicate more time to learning a new language, which I think would be helpful not only in the long run, it'll be cool, and I'm actually in the country. What better time to dedicate time to learning a new language than being in that country? If you can name me one other time, please speak now. So that was my final decision. And I know that it's working because I can recognize these symbols now. The symbols across I don't think it's probably mirrored, isn't it? I don't know how to unreflect the camera. But I can tell you for a fact that these are the beginning vowels. A, I, that's I. Okay, I'm very good at it, but I know that's I. I know that's A. I think that's E, U, O. I flopped them. I got O right, but E and U. E and O. And U. A, E, U, E, O. A, I, E, U, O. I apologize. Misinformation. Yes. But I know for a fact that I'm getting this better because I know that I recognize that there's the vowels. There's only 46 hiragana characters as opposed to 4,000 kanji characters. So, if I can recognize those, I think I'll be okay. But, yes, dropped the class. I'm feeling good about that decision because otherwise I wouldn't have gotten a chance to focus on the other 4 things like I can now. So, yes. Do you think anything else of note? Not really. I have my first kendo meeting on Wednesday, so almost tomorrow. Because technically almost tomorrow. But other than that, that's my day. Tomorrow will be culinary Japanese cuisine and what's the other one? Ghosts and Monsters. The 2 of the most coveted classes in Kansai Gaiden. Yeah. Longer episode today because there's more stuff to cover and more things to explain myself on, but I need to get ready for bed because morning is going to come quick and it's already 10 to midnight. So I'm going to leave it here. Thank you for listening. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for having being on this pardon me trip with me. And I'll see you tomorrow. Arigato.